Hello, it's Deborah from the attic. If you're new here, you're very welcome. I hope that you'll get some inspiration from this video today, and also that you'll go and check out some of the hundreds of other creative videos I have on my channel and check out the playlist as well. And if you're a return visitor, then you're welcome too. Lovely to see you again. Today I'm going to show you how I constructed this little booklet. It's not quite a journal, but it is a fun thing to make, and I've used a new set that is in my Etsy store, and this matches very nicely, and deliberately so, with the Victorian authentic ledger pages that are also in the Etsy store. So these are what I have made so that we can make this little booklet. There are pockets, there are tags of 3 different sizes, and that's important because it means that you can nest them. There are 2 large envelopes, this is the first. There are 2 little, almost like book plate covers that you can use to create tiny little journals. There are 6 tags. There are 3 small and 3 large. 2 more pockets, 2 more inserts for the pockets, and then some ovals with notes, projects and index written in the centre, which I will show you how you can use and get the most out of. There are 6 ornate frames. Again, these are in different sizes so that they will nest. And then there are some cheerful words. Cheerful journaling is something I'm going to talk about in a future video. But these are words that are already printed out, and you can use them throughout your journal. Again, I will show you. They don't just have a word use, they have a practical use. You can use them for practical reasons in your journal. This is the second of the large envelopes, and then there are the 2 small envelopes. The 2 little book plates that I showed you on this sheet will fold down and fit inside this envelope, and lots of the other things will fit inside the large envelope. The last sheet in the kit is this one. These are some boxes which are blank, and they're there ready for you to fill in your own words and your own phrases as you'd like to include in your journal. And they're in 3 different sizes, and the top 3 have got these nice ornate endings at the end of each box to make them a little bit more pretty. These ones have got some of the ledger paper for backing, and then these 3 final boxes are completely blank. I want to talk you through it a bit at a time. What I like about these sorts of things is that when you come back to them, if you've been away from them for a little while, it's a surprise because you can't remember where all the little foldy things went. So as an example of how you can use the elements, I've used a pocket, one of the folding pockets here. I've got a tag, I've added a word across the centre of the tag. I've also got one of the little ornate frames that I can slot into this pocket. And now there's going to be lots of reveals with sort of hidden journaling. So this is a tiny little envelope, and you can see I've got a little book there, book plate cover. I've added the journal word to the centre, and I can use that to either add more pages or journal straight into that. And you have to kind of remind yourself where these little pull out things and flip things are. And I think that's what makes it so much fun. Let me show you this page as well. So on this page, this has got one of the pockets, and I've got the tags that fit in here, along with one of the journal cards, and there are 6 of these that you can cut out and add to the top of these pages which have got, or these inserts which have got a little sort of bubble on the top. So you can decide if you want the word journal, index or project in there. This folds out, and there are 2 envelopes. So one envelope has got some ephemera in here, but then there's also this envelope which has got more ephemera and pull out pieces inside, and they flip together like that, and you have to know it's there. I like this secret journaling, I like it very much. So if I flip open this way, you see it's quite difficult to show you because it's like, which way do I show you first? So here is another hidden envelope, and this is what I mean about using the words for practical purposes in your journal. It's not just about having a little sentence in there or a nice little cheery message in there to yourself. It's about having a little tuck spot. And you can see that envelope revealed another little message underneath. So this one is glued straight down. This one is glued just at the side so that I can push the envelope over that little concealed message. But then if I want to take the envelope out, I haven't got anything in this one, but that is how I would use it. I've got another of my index cards, and I've also got some of the words I've already cut out. some of my little phrases, words and phrases that can be added, and when you're not ready to use them, store them in your journal. There's more wording across the top of these pages to break up the design and to give it more interest visually. Here's another little way that you can use an envelope. So again, I've got one of the words here, and I've got another word that's only glued at the top and the bottom, so that I can flip the envelope in there, and I can close the envelope, and this will open out. And again, it's similar to the two big envelopes. It's two envelopes together. This one has got one of the little tiny book plates in the centre there. I've got some more words. I've got another of the little book plates in this envelope too, and I can just close them like that. Job done. But then these are glued onto a large envelope, which also flips out, and I've covered this with a piece of the Victorian Ephemera, so that the reverse of the envelope is glued down onto this page, and I've used the frames, the ornate frames. Let me find one. So I've captured a couple of little photographs. This is Buster on the balcony, and I've captured some photographs in that pocket there. So as I open this out, you'll see another envelope. I've used one of the cutout note circles, and I've almost used it like a wax seal. So if I was sending this, I would just glue that, and that would seal the envelope. In here, it contains more of the ornate frames and some of the ephemera. I've got some more words down here, my inner nitwit. I'm going to talk to you about my inner nitwit when I talk about cheerful journaling in the future. And opening out the final page and coming on to the final two pages, here is another envelope. I've only glued the index circle at the bottom, so that the top of this envelope is closed by putting the corner under the circle. I've used another of the pockets. This is this tall pocket here, cut from this sheet, and the back folds over and the two sides fold over to make that a complete pocket. And that has got some more tags in there, and another of the notepads here as well, little notepad pieces. And here you can see why I've deliberately given you 3 sizes of these note cards, because you can nest them. There are 2 tall, 2 medium-sized and 3 short. They all have slightly different headings on the top of them, and you can nest them like this. And it's a really nice way to use. I love things that are nested because it gives it more visual interest. It makes it look really full. Again, I've used the one of the words across the centre of this pocket here, another one at the top. I'm going to fold these back in, another one here, another one at the top. And the other thing I wanted to show you is about how I've used them across the front of the book. They're sized so they're big enough that if you wanted to create a sort of a wraparound effect, you could do that with 2 of these. So I've got one on the front, and then I've glued one on the back, and it just looks like a band that goes all the way around. It doesn't. It breaks here on the fold, but it gives the impression of being something that would go around the book. The 2 metal corners that I have here, I don't have a link for where you can find these, I'm afraid. I've had them for a long time in my stash, and I've just got around to using them. But if you were to put into Google a search for metal corners, metallic corners, I think you would find something. These were very inexpensive, I do remember that, and I may even have found these on Etsy. To show you how I made this book, I'm actually going to use the pages from a recent kit again, the Printemps kit, Printemps meaning French for spring, because I want to show you this in a different colourway, and also I want to experiment for myself. I had a great time putting this together. It took me, once I printed the sheets out, there are 9 sheets in this kit. Once I printed those sheets out, it took me about an hour to cut down all the elements that I was going to use, and some of the sheets I printed out several times. For example, the envelopes and the index card sheets, I printed out maybe 2 or 3 of those. Once I cut them down, it then took me maybe 2.5 hours to actually put this book together. So it's quite a quick thing that you can make for yourself or as a gift for somebody else. To make this journal, I used a sheet of 12 by 12 cardstock, and I cut it down the middle, and I'm going to score it into thirds. Because this is a 12-inch length, I'm going to score it at 8 and 4. But all you really need to know is that you want to be able to score your piece of card in equal segments. My two pieces are ready. So the next thing I'm going to do is glue those two centre pieces together. That means I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panels on this side, on the inside, and 5 panels on the outside. The other thing is that because we're going to be filling this up with lots of goodies and lots of stuff, in order to allow this to fold nicely and easily without it sort of creating that effect, it's a good idea to trim a tiny little bit off the edge. And when I say a tiny little bit, I mean like that much, maybe about 5 millimeters, or what is that, 2/8 of an inch. Very small amount, but it does mean then that you'll be able to pack more into your journal without worrying that it won't close. So I'm going to take a little bit off this end, a little bit off this end, and glue the centre. Now that we have the carcass of our little journal ready to go, the next thing is to print out whatever sheets you're using. I'm going to be using some sheets from the Printemps or Spring kit. I've chosen some of my favourite pages, and I'm going to cut these down so that they will fit into the panels. Again, I'm not going to get bogged down into giving you specific measurements because you may want to make something that is smaller or larger, but the important thing is to make sure you cover these panels. The glue that I'm using to glue my papers onto my prepared background is Beacon 3-in-1. I find it's very good to prevent wrinkling of paper. It's this one. It's a little bit more expensive than a standard glue, but if you only use it for projects like this, you'll get maximum use out of it. And when you're gluing your panels in, you can use the fold lines to help you get them all nice and straight. So that's the inside done. I'm going to turn over and do the other side. Everything is glued into place. So for this journal, I'm going to fold in the first 3 pages like that, and the last 2 will sit that way, and this will be my front cover. I've cut out a whole load of things from the Printemps kit. I've got some little lozenges there, I've got some tags, some postcards and some envelopes. And of course the beauty of using a digital kit is that you can print these out as many times as you want. So if you wanted loads more envelopes, you just reprint that sheet. There's no limit on what you can do. I also have my strips from my washi sheet, and I'll cut these out and I'll use them as I go through the journal. I've cut down a piece of washi tape and I'm going to use it to make a very simple little pocket. So I'm going to mark it where I want to cut it. And then I'm going to cut a second piece the same length. Taking my 3-in-1 glue and one of the strips, I'm going to glue down the side and the bottom edge of one of the strips and then stick it into position. And the reason I'm doing this with washi tape rather than with a piece of paper that I've cut down from the kit is because I want to show you different ways that you can use the elements in the kits, and also give you ideas for using, if you've only got thin strips of paper from your own stash, this might be a good way to use them up. And obviously because this isn't a solid piece, I'm going to overlap this, so I'm going to put a tiny thin little strip of glue along that edge, and then the 2 sides of this topmost piece. I don't need to glue the bottom of this because the glue line is already on the other piece of washi, and just layer them up. And you can keep doing that. You can make your pocket as deep as you want. What to do though is to check using a tag or something, a spare bit of paper. Just make sure that you haven't got glue squashing into the inside of these two, because then you won't be able to tuck anything in. But that's just a simple quick way of making a little pocket using some of the washi tape. I've got a tiny little piece left over. I'm going to glue it to the bottom of this sort of lozenge shape cutout, and then I'm going to turn it over and cut out the edge so that I've got a little bit of extra decoration on this. That adds a nice bit of detail, and you can do the same at the top if you want as well. And then that can become another pocket either way up, however you feel. Glue in the sides. Don't glue it in too far around, and then you can use it as a tuck spot for a tag. The trick I really want to show you is the one with the envelopes, because I think it's quite neat. So you cut out your envelope from the printed sheet, and there will be one edge that has got this just this flat edge here, and that indicates that it's the bottom of the envelope generally. So you would fold in the sides, fold in the bottom like that, gives you a really nice neat finish, and then you fold in the top flap. But for our purposes, I'm not going to glue this into shape, because what you do to make those envelope flaps is you put the two edges together like this. So I haven't glued either of these envelopes. What I'm going to do is glue them one on top of the other like that. So these are now stuck together. Now I can go ahead and glue the base of my envelope in place with a little line of glue and then a fold. You can add this to your journal like this, so that it opens this way, and you can use that as a tuck spot and that as well. But I'm going to use it this way because I can still tuck things into here. They won't fall out because we've kept this flap in place, and it will fold down nicely and make a little secret pocket for your journaling. When you're gluing things into these folding journal books, don't glue right to the edge. Always make sure you've got a bit of space on the edge, because it means that you won't put strain on the creases when you fold the book in. With the envelopes in place, I've managed to pop a little tag into here, and I can use that for hidden journaling. And there's a little tag in here as well. I've completed the page with 2 strips of washi paper, again just glued at the edges, so that I can slip one of these little lozenges into position there. And I've also added one of the rather pretty postcards from the kit into this pocket as well. So you would go on and continue to build up each of the panels in this way. I hope those 2 pages give you an idea for how you can keep developing the panels and keep adding to the panels. When you come to the outside of your journal, I've chosen to have this as my outside page, and this you can decorate up to the max. So for example, I would probably use the postcard. Would look very pretty, and a contrasting tag, maybe in a lighter blue. Well, that's even better. Like that, but at an angle so you can see the words postcard there, and a bit lower down so you can see the butterfly. Position that slightly higher up. And then I would probably, as in this one where I added a band across the centre, I would add a band, maybe this one, across the centre there. If I wanted to use my corner metal pieces, I would just make sure that I had them in a position that I was happy with before I glued anything in place. While we're here and looking at these metal embellishments, I thought it might be fun just to show you a way that you can change the colour on these without having to go and buy specific colours. There's a number of ways you can change colours, but I'm going to use a wax that I have. This is a Pebeo Silver Argent gilding wax. It's very, very good. I have this in 3 colours, silver gold and sort of an antique gold. And what you do is rub it onto whatever metallic thing or thing you want to change the colour of. I've borrowed one of Buster's dog poo bags, don't tell him, because this stuff can get ingrained in your fingers and in your skin, and it can take a little while to clean out. So rather than have that irritation, I'm just going to apply it with this. And it doesn't take very much at all. This stuff lasts forever. I must have had this tub for a good 3 or 4 years, possibly longer. But I hope you can see that contrast with the other metal piece. So this is now silver as opposed to the gold. And you just give it a moment or 2 to dry and then buff it to make it shine. And I'm going to do the other one here because I'm going to use these on the front of my little journal booklet that I've just shown you. There we go. Really beautiful sort of silver effect. I've glued down the key elements of my front cover, And all I need to do now is glue these into position. And I'm going to use the same glue, my Beacon 3-in-1 glue, because it will hold them in place really firmly. I want to show you how to make one of the folding out envelopes from a pocket. And I've glued it as I normally would, with the flat edge in position there. And then this flap I'm going to glue to the back of one of the postcards. The postcard is going to form the pocket. So I apply the glue to the inside of the envelope and then pop the postcard on top, somewhere in the middle. Don't take the postcard all the way up to the fold, allow a little bit of space. It's a good idea because it will allow you to put more bulk in that envelope if you choose to. And then I glue that down, and on the reverse, because my postcard is going to form a pocket, I'm going to glue around 3 sides, like that. Hold it by the envelope and then stick the postcard where you want it to go. I'm going to pop it in the centre of this panel. I've got an envelope which will take one of these tags. Let's pop a tag in. That's ready for some secret journaling. And I also have a space within that secret pocket to put another tag. So that's how you build up these layers and the secret little places where you can tuck things. I hope that's given you some ideas for ways that you can add little secret pockets to your folding journals, and it applies to any journals that you make as well, and that you will give it a go either with your own papers or with some of the kit papers. This isn't the last we're going to see of this journal in particular, because in a future video I'm going to be talking about journaling the happy and about capturing happy moments and where do you get those moments from, and I've got a few tips for you. I hope that you will go and see some of the other videos on my channel. Please subscribe, tick the notification bell because that way you'll always know when new videos are loaded up. And in the meantime, I'm going to say thank you very much for your time. As always, thank you for watching. And until we meet again, stay safe and take care.